A few weeks ago, something happened at work that really freaked me out. To give you some context, I'm an 18-year-old female, and I've been working at Starbucks for about 6 months. One night, I was working the closing shift, making drinks, and keeping myself busy for most of it. There's a large seating area in our store, and I didn't really pay attention to the people sitting around. It's a pretty common spot for people to come in with their laptops and get some work done. At one point, I noticed a guy sitting alone at a table with his laptop. He seemed to be in his mid-40s, had dark hair, and was wearing a blue jacket. When I glanced over at him, I saw that he was staring at me, and he didn't look away. I found it a bit uncomfortable, so I quickly looked away, but I tried not to let it bother me and went back to my work. As the hours passed and things quieted down, I started noticing the few remaining customers. One of them was the same guy. He was still sitting at his table, and once again, he was staring at me, not breaking eye contact. It was starting to feel a little creepy. I thought it was odd that he had been there for so long, but I figured it wasn't unusual for people to work at coffee shops all day. As we approached closing time, there were only 2 of us left working. Most of the customers had left, but the man remained. I started to feel nervous, wondering if he planned to stay after we closed. Thankfully, with about 5 minutes left until closing, I saw him get up and leave. He walked out the door, and I felt a little better. After I wrapped up and was ready to leave, I drove home. My house is about a 10-minute drive from Starbucks, so I went straight inside. It was around 9 p.m. when I noticed a car parked across from my house. The engine was running, and it struck me as unusual, since it's rare for cars to be parked on our street. Most houses have large driveways, and it's not a busy area. I saw the lights of the car turn off, and curiosity got the better of me. I walked over to the window and saw that the driver's seat was occupied by a man. It looked like the same guy from Starbucks. At first, I thought I was just being paranoid, but then he looked directly at the house. When I saw him, I quickly ducked down so he wouldn't notice me. That's when I realized it was definitely him. I felt a chill down my spine. Was he following me? I backed away from the window, trying to stay out of sight. But a few moments later, I couldn't resist the urge to look again. The car was still there, and the man was still sitting in the driver's seat, staring. I quickly found my dad, who was thankfully still awake. He agreed to go outside and confront the man. But just as my dad was walking toward the car, the man suddenly sped off. That was enough for me to feel certain that his intentions weren't innocent. Since then, I've never seen the man again, neither at Starbucks nor anywhere near my neighborhood. And I'm relieved about that. I hope I never have to see him again. A few years ago, something crazy happened to me at Starbucks. It was a day when my husband and I had been out for a while, and as we were driving back home, we decided to stop at a Starbucks in a random town. It was getting late, and we were tired, so we pulled into a shopping center parking lot. The Starbucks was on the corner of the lot, and we didn't realize it was already closed. My husband parked pretty far away, as he always does with his truck. We got out, walked past the closed shops, and headed toward the Starbucks. There were only 2 cars in the parking lot, one being an older sedan that was parked pretty close to the door. As we walked past, I noticed there were a few men in the car. What caught my attention was that they were all wearing black ski masks, and it was really unsettling. When we reached the door, we tried to open it, but it was locked. That's when I heard the car start up behind us. We turned around to see the car making a quick U-turn and driving away. My husband then noticed that the store had closed 10 minutes earlier, which we hadn't realized. As we stood there, he waved over an employee, telling her about the men in masks. She came to the door, opened it, and confirmed they were closed. We left the store and went to another place for coffee. Looking back, I'm not sure if those men had planned to rob the Starbucks or if they were just waiting for one of the employees to leave. But I'm glad we didn't become part of whatever their plan was. I worked at a Starbucks years ago when I was 19 or 20. It was a quiet night, and I had finished most of my shift when I was asked to take out the trash. Behind the store, there was a small access road and a fence, and it was usually very quiet back there. I took the first bag of trash outside, went back in for the second one, and while I was out there, I heard a noise from the back room. I froze, and Jessica, my co-worker, and I exchanged nervous looks. We assumed it was an animal that might have wandered in when I left the back door propped open. But when we went into the back room, we were startled to find a man standing there. He had a beard and looked somewhat homeless. He was holding a bottle of syrup. At first I couldn't believe it, but when I spoke up, he pushed a shelf over, nearly hitting Jessica, and then ran out of the back door. Thankfully, we locked the door and finished cleaning up. But as I was leaving, I saw the same man walking through the parking lot, still holding the syrup bottle. It turns out, he used to hang out behind the Starbucks often. I never left the back door open after that night. This is the story of a really unsettling experience I had a few years ago when I was living alone and working in an office across the city. One morning, I stopped by Starbucks on my way to work. It was quiet, with only a couple of other people there, and I was in and out quickly. That evening, after work, I was back home when I heard a knock at my door. I was confused, opened the door, and found a Starbucks drink on the ground. The cup had my name on it, and it was the exact drink I had ordered earlier, but I didn't know who left it there. The next day, as I was leaving for work, I saw a man standing outside my apartment building. I didn't recognize him. I went to Starbucks again and saw the same man in line behind me. I realized he must have been the one who left the drink at my door. That night, I didn't receive anything strange, but 2 days later, I saw police lights outside. When I looked closer, I realized the man I'd seen so many times was being questioned by the police. It turned out he had been stalking a woman in my building, and she had reported him. I realized he might have been stalking me too, and I was lucky he was caught before things escalated.